there. Hey, I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything. Chief's out there making deals for coffee, it sounds like. Yeah, he's out there selling lies for coffee, I think, or something. I don't know what he's up to no good.
It's called community outreach, Your Honor.
Oh, thank you. We are live, by the way.
That's why I called you Your Honor.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. He said we're going live and everybody went. Do I need to sign this stuff in that, or is it not ready yet?
You can. You can destroy this thing then.
Okay, do this one.
Yeah.
I feel, you know what, this isn't, I feel like you guys
Sign
coming.
this.
And I need to take a big deep breath here. Oh, I've already signed this one, so if Mike wants to sign that one.
Oh, and this one.
What is this one?
You're live.
Yes. Yes.
Michael.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you want to sign before they take action.
I've already signed this one.
Oh.
Looks like Mary needs to sign it.
Are you going to talk about this? Are you going to question me on this one? No. Okay. Seems to be working out really slow. Oh. Okay. Why don't we? Let's see what I actually want to talk about. Hey, that's up to you guys. I can't really advise you on that.
Good evening, everybody. It's 7 p.m. It is Monday, August 5th. Regular meeting for the City Council for the City of Woodland. If I could please get everyone to silence your cell phones and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mrs. Hartman, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Fredericks.
Here.
Councilmember Rounds.
Here.
Councilmember Plaza.
Here.
Councilmember Graham.
Here.
Councilmember Chapman.
Here.
Councilmember Humberg. Here.
All right, everyone's present. We have no presentations or proclamations this evening, so we'll move straight on to citizen communications for items not on the agenda. First up, we have Mr. Brian McLeland. Is it Cleland or Leland? I'm sorry. McClellan's. I'm sorry. I'll have you step up to the podium, and you allotted 5 minutes.
Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to get up and talk.
Oh, did you want to address council this evening?
Well, I have.
But if you do,
I have to go up there?
yes.
Well, I guess I have a few questions.
All right, I'll have you state your name and your address,
Okay.
and then I'll give you 5 minutes. Understand, though, before I start your timer, this is your opportunity to address council, and there is no interaction, back and forth interaction will be with me. So if you have questions, they may be asked. Council may record those and then ask that later during the regular portion of the meeting, just so you're
Okay,
aware.
yeah, I didn't
Okay?
understand the process.
Okay,
I didn't know I
that's
was
fine.
supposed to give a presentation, but.
That's
Okay.
fine.
My name is Brian McClelland. I own the Mobile Home Park North Fork Mobile Village located at 2009 Lewis River Road in Woodland. So I got this bill at the beginning of the year. Was surprised. Been talking with Pete Boyce. He's been great to deal with. By the way, I appreciate it. He's been very, very professional and respectful. I get the big thing that I wanted to understand was I think I'm the only non-single family residents that this affects. I'm not sure if that's the case or not, but I wanted to make sure that you guys are. Go
I'm going to
ahead.
stop you real quick. He is, it's on the agenda, he's referring to, which one, E? Okay, action item E is what he's referring to.
So I'm not sure, I mean, You guys have some estimates in there that it's $1,000 to $3,000 for a plumber, and you'll waive the $5,000 per unit fee through December 30, 20, or through 2020, I think. My biggest issue with all of this as an investor is that I have to most likely install a pump out station, which I haven't got specific bids, but my understanding is a couple $100,000 to do that. If that's the case, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this park. I have a couple of the residents here. There's some option. I can sell it to a developer. I can sell it. I can raise rents dramatically and severely impact some people that are in low income housing. Are there any other people that are in the situation that they have to do pump out stations as well?
The pump out station, I don't believe so. I think, no. You would be
Okay.
the only one for the lift station. For a lift station, everyone else would just
Pressurized
be-
system, whatever, yeah, right.
Everyone else is just a connection.
Gravity feed. So when I bought the park, the broker that I dealt with Commonwealth Commercial Brokers, that he'd met with the city multiple times. Rob van der Zanden had said that there would never be, you wouldn't have to connect to sewer as long as everything worked, as long as the drain fields didn't fail. I had this issue. There was a tenant that she had something severely plugged up in her line. I got a hold of Tom Buck. His son designed a extension of the drain field, and then Tom figured out that it was an obstruction of the line. We haven't had any issue with it since then. I guess in and of itself, I don't really think that doing the sewer is a bad idea. I actually think it's probably a good idea. My problem is, just as an investor, I don't know if it's cost effective to do it there. One thing I talked to Pete about before this started was I was wondering if back in the southeast corner of my park, where it interconnects or dead ends with River Mist, if there might be a way that we could connect there and make it a little less of a pumping station or pressurized system, and make it a more reasonable cost for me and Bill.
Did you just bring that up this evening?
Yeah, I just spoke to him. I was just thinking about it today. I'm trying to think of alternatives.
Okay. Okay. So I think you have an ask in there for city council.
Well, that would be an ask for sure, to see if I could connect
Okay.
at the southeast corner of the back of the mobile home park with what would be their southwest corner, I guess, of their neighborhood.
Have you been given an estimate for the lift station?
No, I haven't. I just spitballing. That's
Okay.
what I've heard from some folks. I left a message for the plumber that I spoke with, or that I usually deal with, last week, and he hasn't gotten back to me yet.
Okay. Okay, perfect. All right. If there's anything else?
I don't think I have anything else.
Okay, perfect. Thank
All
you,
right,
sir. Thanks for
thanks.
coming out tonight. The council allowed me to ask some follow-up questions. Am I good? Sir, can I get you a step back? I'm just gonna ask some follow-up questions here, just so council understands the position that you're in, before they make decisions this evening. It sounds like you're saying it's gonna be a hardship to put this device in.
I think so, yes.
Okay. How many residents will be affected by this?
29 units.
29 units, okay. And what would be the cost to the 29 units that are there if you were having to, if you didn't install it? Because this is coming down to sewer standby fees at this point. So you're really not being forced to put it in, you're asked to put it in, but obviously there's a cost that comes in there for standby fees. Do we know what the standby fee is?
There's a little bit of a question.
Okay.
Originally, when the permit was requested, the idea was that the septic system had failed. If it's a lateral that's plugged, Public Works needs to look at that to determine whether or not it's failed. A standby fee is required by anyone who's not connected to the sewer line.
Okay.
That's within 200 feet. So there is a possibility that the standby fee could be paid and the septic system could still be operated for a period of time.
Okay.
But I need to hash that out with Public Works.
Okay.
Well, that's like double jeopardy almost then, right? Because I'm still having to maintain and pump septic tanks and pay for a sewer standby fee as well, which.
Right. Okay. Okay, I think that's it.
Okay.
I think that's it. I think that, I just want them to understand what the position that you're in there. Thank you. Darlene,
Yes.
and your last name? Oh, Jensen.
Johnson.
One second.
Johnson.
Johnson, I'll have you step right up here. Well, I saw Darlene Johnson, and I was expecting a different Darlene Johnson. I'm like, I don't.
Sorry, I don't own the trucking company.
No, I was like, I don't see her. How did she
If I
sign?
did, I wouldn't be worried about this.
Oh, well, I was just wondering how she signed up, and she's not even here. All right, I'll give you. Please state your name and address and 5 minutes.
Darlene Johnson, 2009 Woodland, Washington, Unit 18 on Lewis River Road. My concern is when this goes in, he's going to have no choice but to raise all our rents substantially. Most of us are on a fixed income, retired, so you'll be putting 29 families on the streets. What is your plan for causing and taking care of the homeless that you're creating? This is the question I have, and this is my concern. My mother's on hospice. I'm her caregiver. I cannot pick her up and move her. I cannot afford to pay more than what we pay already. I'm struggling to make ends meet. I am so in debt, it's not funny from trying to make ends meet and take care of my mother's medical conditions. I'm not the only one in the park that has various issues of this sort. Most of them are on basically their deathbeds. So you will be putting people out that have nowhere to go and no financial way of going anywhere. So I'd like to know what the council and the mayor of Woodland intends to do when he creates a homeless issue. And that's my questions.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you coming out tonight. Is there anyone else in the gallery that failed to sign up at the beginning of the meeting? Now's your opportunity to step forward for items not on the agenda. All right, seeing no one. Moving on for items on the agenda. First up, we have Mr. Michael Green.
Good evening, Michael Green, Woodland Public Schools, 800 2nd Street, 360-841-2700. Commenting regarding item 8G and H, I believe are the numbers, the proposed school impact fees, recommending and encouraging the council to vote in support of the resolutions. Those funds are key to addressing the growth that we experience in the school district, and over the last several years have really allowed us to not use educational funds to create space for the growth we're experiencing with the growth in the community. I can be available for any questions if you anticipate having any. Otherwise, I'm going to sneak out.
I'm going to ask some follow-up questions just to put them on the record. Are school impact fees paid by businesses?
No.
Okay, so residential's only.
Let me correct that. To the extent that a business is developing a piece of property, they would be paying those impact fees.
If it's
Evidence does
residential.
not suggest it escalates the price of the home. It typically would come out of the profit of the developer.
Okay, but let me rephrase. Commercial businesses, industrial businesses, this is not a fee that they pay when they develop.
That's correct.
Okay. I see I lost my train of thought there. I had one more good one there.
A zinger?
I know what I was going to ask. Do folks outside of the city limits of Woodland, so say I was going to build a home in the Bottoms area, would I be paying this impact fee?
Folks outside the city of Woodland who live in Clark County do. The council, or the commission 2 weeks ago approved $5,900 fees for all single and multifamily. Those in Cowlitz County outside the city of Woodland do not.
Okay.
We believe there's an avenue through SEPA to address that, but the county council has been reluctant to consider that.
Perfect. That's exactly what I needed to hear. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Melton Cox.
Hello again.
Hello.
Deborah Melton Cox, 1854 Springwood Street. I'm just here to comment on the same thing these people were talking about. I would just like all of you to, before you vote on anything, to take into consideration not penalizing the people that are just caught in the middle of all of this. This exact same situation happened to me almost 30 years ago in the city of Vancouver, and it created a huge problem for my husband and I to have to hook up to the sewer. Granted, they did waive the hookup fee, which was really nice, but we had to go 50 feet, and it was well over $1,500. We're talking thousands for a plumbing fee. So I don't know where that $1,500 thing came in, but that, that's not a guarantee. So I think because of something that was just getting overlooked, people shouldn't be penalized for that. And if their sewer systems are working and they can prove that their sewer systems are working, why can't you just grandfather them and let them hook up when the problem, when it becomes a problem? I just wanted you to take that into consideration. I read that tonight and thought, oh boy, I've been there, done that. It's really hard.
Okay.
Okay?
Perfect. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Is there anyone else in the gallery for items on the agenda that failed to sign up at the beginning of the meeting? Now's your opportunity to step forward. All right. Seeing no one else. Come to the portion of the agenda for approval.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Moved by Councilmember Humberg, seconded by Councilmember Fredericks. Will the clerk please take, Plaza, I apologize. I'm sorry. By Councilmember Plaza, will the clerk please take the vote? Just so used to saying your name.
Councilmember Fredericks.
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds.
Aye.
Councilmember Humbert.
Aye.
Councilmember Graham.
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman.
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza.
Aye.
All right, the agenda's been approved. Moving on to reports of standing committees. Public Works.
The meeting was canceled for today, and we've rescheduled it for 8/19 of 2019 at 5:30.
Oh, thank you for that. I skipped a section, though. I'm sorry. Reports of, I'm going to back up a little bit. Reports of City Council. Thank you, Mr. Fredericks. Reports of City Council.
I think everything that I attended is important.
Okay. All right. Thank you for making us go backwards. All right. Thank you, Mrs. Rounds. Public safety.
We met on July 15th. The Clark County Fire and Rescue was not available for this meeting. Just gave an update. Chief Kelly informed the committee that that Officer Chris Moore has successfully completed the field training program and will be on his own. He's assigned to Sergeant Lip's team, so that's pretty exciting. He's a good guy.
Absolutely.
Glad to hear that. And old business for the Woodland Municipal Code, panhandling ordinance and the camping ordinance. Though they've previously been approved, the attorney recommended both be removed from the agenda, and he's going to do some more research, and then we'll bring them back to City Council to be approved again.
Okay.
That's corrected. And our next meeting is, I don't know what our next meeting is, 8/19 at 4:30 at the police station.
All right. Questions for Ms. Humbert? Seeing none. Human Resources.
Yes, we met on August 19th at 5:30, and Mr. Benjamin shared
July
that.
15th.
July 15th.
What'd I say?
August. But it says August. That's the next meeting.
That's the next meeting. I thought that looked kind of familiar. Yes, we met on the 15th. Mr. Benjamin is the chair of that committee, so Mr. Plaza and I will play rock, paper, scissors to determine who's going to be reporting on that committee. We reviewed the collective bargaining agreement that was passed by the council at the last meeting. We did receive an update on our engineering tech grievance that is currently, we are currently negotiating with the union on that. Also, we received an update from the WPOA, and we've got
We are currently in mediation regarding unfair labor practices and holiday pay grievance. And that's really all that we discussed. It was a fairly quick meeting. Again, our next meeting is scheduled for August 19th at 5:30 in the council chambers conference room.
Questions for Mr. Fredericks? All right. Seeing none. Reports of advisory committees. Chamber of Commerce, Mrs. Graham.
We are still holding our lunch meetings at 12 o'clock at the Grange. It is a bring your own lunch, sack lunch type situation. Hopefully someday in the future we will have a larger place to do that at, but we are getting along with where we're at right at the moment. Dawn Morgan will be our speaker tomorrow. She is with the Children's Discovery Museum. On the 20th, we're going to have Mr. Jim Couts be our guest speaker, and he is involved with the JAG Suite. It is our new internet server at the visitor center through the chamber. And then we are hoping to have some information classes being given for our members so they can utilize all the benefits that we have with that program at this time. We are getting ready to have our golf tournament this coming Friday. Tea time is at 7:30, and then we will be hosting the movies in the park that evening also. Our chamber banquet is scheduled for the 18th of January 2020. There are some new ideas in the works for that, so be prepared to come on board and see something a little bit new, and that is held at the Heathman Lodge. And on the chamber website, we do have current updated applications for our Citizen of the Year, Business of the Year, and Employee of the Year. So if anybody has their favorite cashier person, business like they'd like to associate, please get the application, and we would like to have some nominations for these special awards that we honor people with in town. So
When are those due?
we do not have, I don't know if there's a deadline date on them yet, usually by the middle of December.
Okay.
So we can make our choices and get our plaques
Okay.
made and so on and so forth, so. Right now, I think that's about all I have on board, so we're ongoing.
All right.
We did have the after-hours, Janice, has that been reported?
Oh, well, I don't know, I
I
was
don't
not here for that
And
either, I'm sorry.
I was caught off guard, so I
There
didn't
was,
report
yes,
it,
there
but-
was a very nice after hours that I've heard about that was sponsored or hosted by Fiber Federal Credit Union, and then it also involved the other local businesses, Galeano's Pizza, and I think the boutique. Yeah, the Rosenborg.
And the insurance company.
Oh, the
and-
insurance company was there. I'd heard that it was a very nice
It
event, and I
was
was
very
sorry I
nice.
missed it, but, so that's kind of an up-and-coming little corner.
And the next after-hours is the 15th at,
Oh, the Maple Ridge House.
Maple Ridge
Tim
House.
Welch, yes, it
So-
is.
Is he bringing the taco truck again?
No, man, he's cooking.
Manny's cooking?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Did you, Mr. Green, did you attend the?
I didn't attend to this.
Okay, he likes that taco truck, but they've got great food, and they're local. All right. Questions for Mrs. Graham or Mrs. Rounds? All right, seeing none. Ms. Humbert.
Cowlitz-Waukegan Council of Governments, we met on July 25th. We passed a resolution for surface transportation block grant for projects, a call for projects, get it? We also approved a travel authorization for our director to travel to Phoenix for the National Association of Regional Councils. And we had a very interesting informational speech by Eli Asher of the Cowlitz Tribe on salmon recovery, the things that they're doing, the things that are happening. It was very interesting. It was a good meeting. And our next meeting is Thursday, August 22nd, 12 o'clock at the Event Center.
All right. I'll let you keep going.
We don't really have a downtown urban
Oh, that's
revitalization
right.
meeting any longer, so.
It's quarterly.
It's
so
quarterly.
Nothing to report.
Yeah, so there's not anything. There will be, I think we're going to try to meet next month to go over what happened with the movies and
Okay.
music in the park.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. I was going to say. All right, questions for Ms. Humbird? All right, seeing none, moving on to reports of city officers. The DeRozier golf tournament, was that on the 20th?
Yes.
Okay, so I haven't reported on that yet. So attended the DeRozier Memorial Golf Tournament, first one. My understanding is that they raised $30,000, over $30,000 for the DeRozier family, which is fantastic. And for those of you that came in this evening, we planted a tree, and I believe the plaque is in out here for Deputy DeRozier for providing his life and service to the citizens of Cowlitz County. So it was a big golf tournament. There's a lot of folks there. I saw the chief there. I was there with some state patrol folks as well, some retirees, which was fun. We left early, but it was a good time. There was a big turnout. It was awesome. Am I stealing your thunder on that? Were you going to report on that?
No.
Okay. Let's see. This past Wednesday, I held coffee with the mayor. I had some folks show up over at the local McDonald's. Had some great conversation. Two commissioners from Cowlitz County, Arn Mortensen and Dennis Weber, were there, along with Representative Orcutt as well. He was very quiet and just let me talk, and I'm sure I'll be getting a phone call later. But Mr. Weber was very engaging and gave us some direction on how we can possibly go and get some funding and some other programs that are within the county, which is great, that will help out the city. The port was there as well, so I plan on trying to do that once a month, so I will get those out and let folks know where I'll be, whether it be coffee or lunch or something, get out there. And I had no agenda. We were just there to talk and ask questions and get some answers. I had lunch with a potential developer for the Oak Tree property last week as well. The plan that's being put out there right now, nothing's in stone yet, but very excited about the opportunities that could come with that property. I think it would be great for the city. It's right there at the gateway to the city. It's our welcoming building there, so it'll be nice to hopefully get something in there and get that developed as well. Travis, are you going to report on the Kittleson?
Yes.
You will. Okay, so I won't talk about that. We have a planning commission nomination for Mr. Benjamin this evening for a 6-year term. As most of you know, Mr. Benjamin was a council member here and has stepped down due to commitments, and council is a bigger commitment than the planning commission, so I'm encouraging council to appoint him to one of those vacancies. One of the folks that we just appointed to the commission has stepped down after one meeting. Didn't realize what they were getting themselves into, I don't think, which is fine. We'd rather know that now than getting too far into the process. And so there is, if it hasn't already gone out, there will be a notice that there's a notice out there seeking planning commissioner. So I encourage any of those that want to help with the design and planning of Woodland to please step forward. Council vacancy applications. We received one from Mr. Monty Smith. His interview will be in front of council at the next meeting, and hopefully, is there an appointment on that meeting as well? That's, you think so?
Yeah.
Actually, okay. So, and then you'll be asked to appoint him to council. Keep in mind, Mr. Smith is actually running for Mr. Benjamin's seat unopposed, so it would be a natural choice to go that way, and he is the only one that has applied at this time. So he'll be in front of you at the next meeting. I want to talk about a few things that are on the agenda this evening. Number one, we had a couple of folks step up and talk about action item E, the sewer standby fees. I encourage council to say yes to this with the caveat that you exclude the property that is in question here and those that have come and stepped up. Our intention here at the city is not to create hardships for folks. That's not the intent. But exclude that specific property, as the property owner stated. He is the only one that is being, in this situation, he would be the only one that is being asked to invest over $200,000 into a lift station. Allow the city and the property to work together to find a different solution and a plan moving forward, knowing that that's coming, and try to develop something that in the future when the septic system does fail, that there is the funds or the reasonable expectation that that lift station would be put in as requested. As stated, it doesn't sound like there was a failure to the septic system, so it's still in proper working order. So I ask council to have a little bit of grace this evening and exclude that property if possible. I'd also like to talk about Mr. Green this evening and his request for a yes on the school impact fees as well. I agree with Mr. Green. I know early on in my time here, we did not agree on certain things, but I've been schooled and understand the need and the necessity for this impact fee. Unfortunately, I think that it is on the backs of the citizen of our community without going outside of the city limits and requesting the folks that are expanding into Cowlitz County that they pay this same one. They are using the facilities as our children within the city are as well. We are a large community and we all need to pay our share. So knowing that it's possible to have that happen, I will be approaching the commissioners and putting some pressure on to help out. So thank you. Questions? All right. Mr. Boyce.
Okay, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. City Council at its next meeting will see a new contract proposal for prosecutor services. There's been an issue with the current contract. We received notice today that the law firm is backing out of that contract. The judges have put new standards in place. It will cost us more money. The plan, because it's such a short turnaround, the city of Kelso is going to hire an attorney for prosecutor services. The cities of Kelso, or Kalama, Castle Rock, and Woodland are considering joining that, or making an interlocal agreement to provide those services. So we plan on bringing it to the Finance Committee next meeting, and then you'll see it on the 19th. Other than that, we have upcoming events. August 9th, Hot Summer Nights, the Movies in the Park continues. It's the Goonies, 80s theme. Beer Garden at Horseshoe Lake Park. Also on the 9th, the Chamber Golf Tournament. Excuse me, I got this cough going. I apologize. August 11th, the VFW breakfast from 7 to 11.
10th.
I'm sorry,
It's
10th?
on Saturday the 10th.
Okay. August 15th, Chamber After Hours, Maple Ridge. August 19th, reception and presentation to WPD by the Cowlitz County Sheriff regarding Deputy DeRozier, Chief Kelly recognition. And September 19th, Chamber After Hours, Columbia Bank, 5 p.m. So that's all I have tonight.
Questions for Mr. Boyce?
This is the last night of the movies and the music in the
Yes.
park. There will be a beer garden that's going to be sponsored by Spruce, and the funds go to the library, so they're calling it Brews for Books. VFW has hot dogs, so come and enjoy our last night at the park.
It's been a wonderful, wonderful job. Wonderful job. The community seems to really like it too. Okay. Ms. Randolph.
Nothing to report, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Randolph's report's my favorite. Every time, no report. Mrs. Hartman, Clerk Treasurer's Office.
So we have processed some ordinances and resolutions. They've adopted the comp plan amendments, extending the RVs from 30 to 90 days. And then the resolutions, the transportation improvement plan, and the levy lid lift for police funding. We've posted 7 notices and RFPs. We've done 20 contracts in July, processed those. We've received 5 citizen comments. We've posted the council vacancy, 7, and we've received 1 application. Those interviews will be August 19th. Planning Commission, we've had 2 vacancies. One will be pending tonight's appointment. We have one new reportable police safety incident. Finance Committee agenda was prepped for the July meeting. We've been working on the state auditor for the upcoming audit in 2018, financials. We processed a couple very, very large public records requests. A lot of time has gone into those.
That one's not completed for a while at this point.
Yeah, we're getting there with the first one. The second one, I know Mary and Shannon have met with the attorney and figuring out exactly what's needed for all that.
But we're estimating it could take 2 years to fulfill the
Yeah,
request. It's a big one.
It's fun.
I don't think so.
Very large, very time consuming, a lot of resource going into that. But we've done a couple small ones along with that. Financial reports for June is complete. Utilities, sewer, standby charges. Workshop was on July 1st, and then action is tonight. Implementation of the OpenGov is going to be in August. She doesn't have dates for that though yet. And then code review revisions for community development. And then she wanted to say that the Hot Summer Nights is August 9th, last one. And then we are doing wrap-up with Y Racing.
Forgot to add that to my report.
For the recap and just go over what went well and if there's any changes for next year. That application for 2020 will be on the next agenda. And she said, many more tasks and accomplishments. Kudos to all for the hard work and dedication.
Questions for Mrs. Hartman?
I have two for Mr. Boyce.
Oh, okay.
Safety Review Committee met for one reportable incident in the police department. What was that?
I was out of the office at that time.
A collision.
Okay. Everyone's okay?
Yes.
Okay.
No injuries.
No injury? Car?
Little damage to the car.
Okay.
Car injury.
No injuries to, or no damage to property destroyed.
Okay.
And we will put this on the, attach it to the website.
Okay. And then the public records request. Have we attempted to narrow the scope of?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's going to be follow-up conversations with the individual making the request.
Okay.
So our plan right now is to do an initial installment, then strike up the conversation to try to whittle the request down to a more manageable level.
How much staff time has been put into this already?
That's hard to say. I don't have that number.
20 hours, 40 hours, more than 40?
I would say at least 10.
At least 10. Do you have extra staff to handle this request?
No.
You do not. Can we invoice the Washington State Legislature?
We can try.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions for Mrs. Hartman? All right. Chief Kelly.
Mrs. Connor continues to take an active role in our Safe Kids program for the county. She's also our resident car seat expert. She did a couple of inspections besides her usual monthly car seat clinic. And in light of what occurred over this past weekend, these next two items were presented well to two of our businesses. Detective Casey and I did active threat presentations to G. Loomis as well as Northwest Pet Products. Very well received. Unfortunately, I wasn't at the one where Detective Casey presented to G. Loomis, but good feedback. And you guys know that Detective Casey's our resident firearms expert. He's our firearms instructor. He just completed the active shooter instructor course through the state, so he is even more our resident expert when it comes to active shooter response by the police department. I went to some training for safety evaluations for post-earthquake training with Mr. Goddard and Mrs. Hartman and a couple other city employees. Good training, so we'll be prepared. So, God forbid something bad should happen in town, we have an idea of what we can and can't do. I attended a law enforcement breakfast at the A. Casino, which is something that the Public Safety Department at A. is trying to do on a regular basis. This one focused mainly on missing and murdered Indigenous women. Very well presented. It also happens to be a bill that our legislature is moving forward on to try to get our tribal enforcement officers a little bit more help when it comes to these type of things. They're establishing a tribal law enforcement task force to focus on these items, and I think it's a worthy cause. I think that we'll probably see our tribal law enforcement partners reaching out to us for potential resources or maybe information on missing Indigenous women. So it was very well received. It was probably about an hour and a half, 2-hour presentation. Many agencies were there. There were many government officials there. So it was very well received. We also continue to meet with allied agencies in Cowlitz County for clarification on I-1639. We know how vague that law can be, and so we solicited the help of Lewis County Chief Deputy Dusty Breen to come down and educate. He's got a little bit of more of an insight when it comes to that law, because he's also a federal firearms dealer as well as a law enforcement officer. So he gave us a little bit more clarity and a direction to go. And we're just improving processes with transfers and that type of stuff with some of the dealers that we have to deal with when it comes to recording those transfers. Continued involvement with our 911 Technical Advisory Committee. Officer Kelly made 2 site visits to comm centers around the state, one in Bremerton and one down south, to give us a good idea of improvements on our computer-aided dispatch system that will probably change or improve on in the next 3 years. So, and that's the report.
Questions for Chief Kelly? Mr. Chapman.
Chief Kelly, just a shout out for what you and your crew do. Always appreciate it. Thanks very much. And a special shout out to the guys yesterday that drew the short straws that had to stand out there in full gear on traffic duty during Y racing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, tell them thanks, because it was a warm day yesterday. It's being full gear to stand out in the asphalt. So tell them thanks.
Thank you. I will pass that on. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Chief Jackson is not here this evening, but he did send a thank you letter from CCFR. Was it in your packet? Okay. Perfect. I didn't see it. What were we thanking ourselves for? Okay. I'll have to get a copy of that. Mr. Goddard. Oh,
so
perfect.
the
Thank you.
Planning Commission held its
I did get
meeting
that.
on July 18th, and we had two new Planning Commission members. It was their first meeting, and Commissioner Mattson graciously volunteered to step forward to be the chair until they have their election. We did a quick orientation and discussion about the role of the Planning Commission, similar to what the Planning Commission City Council got last year at the start of the year when I first got here. So I kind of did that for them since they're all new. And then we moved on to talk about some of the code rewrite work that is going to be their agenda for the next year or so. So that's mostly what they covered. We had a pre-application conference in the Belmont Loop area, one of the lots off of Franklin is Franklin Street is looking to re-divide. We also had some interest in the expired subdivision back behind the middle school, so that one seems to have come around and somebody's interested in that.
Intermediate school?
Intermediate school, sorry, what did I say?
Middle.
Middle school, sorry, intermediate school. I've also been talking with a wood products company out of Woodland. They do really cutting-edge wood laminate building type structures, and they are interested in moving to Woodland. They've been talking to the port about a property, and he called me and asked me about what is allowed in the light industrial zone, because several of his businesses that he deals with want to locate with them because they will save shipping costs by all co-locating together. So if we're lucky, we might be able to do a big chunk of development in the Centennial Industrial Park. So hopefully we're working with them to try and convince some of those companies to move up here.
Do you have an estimate how many jobs that would bring to the area?
I don't.
Okay.
The port might know, because they've been talking a little more of the meat and potatoes. I've been trying to just get them excited about coming here, so hopefully between the two of us.
Maybe I'll place a call.
Yep. We received a new cell tower application up near in the neighborhood of the Les Schwab, and so it looks like we're going to be getting some increased cellular coverage at the north end of town, so if you've been having problems, the solution might be in the near future. And I think they would like to build the tower by the end of the year if they can possibly get it done. So they held a public outreach and neighborhood meeting just recently. So hopefully they're have their package ready to go and we'll get them reviewed. And then the other thing we did is we had, actually this is the Public Works, they had a presentation with the Technical Advisory Committee. I've been meeting regularly with Cowlitz County and the Department of Transportation, and this month we kind of scheduled it around the Exit 21 study and update. They have completed gathering their data. They're working on crunching it and producing some usable information and slides. And they will be starting their public outreach effort in the next short time, and I think that'll go through December. So they'll be developing not only the analysis, but some alternatives for people to take a look at. And they're scheduled for the October Planning Commission, I believe it is. So there should be other opportunities, so keep your eye out, because that data is starting to float around.
Cool.
The public outreach portion of that, did you say when it was going to start?
So really, that was kind of the kickoff of
Okay.
it with the internal agencies, and
Gotcha.
as they get more information, they'll make it available.
Good, all right. I'm hoping for a lot of engagement, all of you. Yes. Okay, questions for Mr. Goddard?
What's the cell phone provider that's building the tower?
So we don't know yet.
Okay.
Typically, they are built by a tower company, and then they negotiate leases with different providers. So
Got
it
it.
could end up being 3 or 4, or 1 or 2.
Okay.
Anything else? Thank you, Mr. Goddard. And Public Works, you'll get Ms. Coleman's report at the next meeting. She's unable to be here this evening. Moving on to consent items.
Move to approve the consent items.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Chapman, second by Councilmember Humberg. Will the clerk please take the vote?
Councilmember Fredericks.
Aye.
Councilmember Humbert.
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman.
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza. Councilmember Graham.
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds.
Aye.
Consent items have been approved. Moving on to action items. Action item D, appointment of Robert Ray to the For Committee and Kim Blaufus to the Against Committee for the November 5th, 2019 levy lid lift ballot proposition.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Humberg, seconded by Councilmember Chapman. Councilmember Humberg.
I thank these people for donating their time to do this. Important that we get this going on.
Councilmember Chapman.
Yeah, same thing. We finally got 2 volunteers instead of mad rushing, because this is the part we have to do to one of the processes of going out to put something on the ballot. So I'm glad two people stepped up to help us out.
Further discussion? Will the clerk please take the vote on action item D?
Councilmember Chapman.
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds.
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks.
Aye.
Councilmember Graham.
Aye.
Councilmember Humbird.
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza.
Aye.
Action item D has passed. Moving on to action item E, ordinance number 1442, amending Woodland Municipal Code 13.08.065, standby sewer charges, and Woodland Municipal Code 13.12.060, sewer connection obligations, first reading.
Move to postpone ordinance number 1442 until August 19th.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion on the floor to postpone action item E to August 19th by Councilmember Fredericks, and seconded by Councilmember Rounds. Councilmember Fredericks.
So for this item, I would actually like to see and have included in the packet everything that was included at the workshop. And the second item that I would like to review is the suggestion that the mayor has made excluding the 29 properties in the mobile home park. But I'd like to see what that is from a legal standpoint. If you're saying that we're going to enforce this with some and not with others, so I want to make sure that we're good there. But I'd like to see what exactly is being suggested to council, and that's what should come back to us on the 19th, and with the additional information that was discussed at the workshop that's not in the packet.
Sure.
Councilmember Rounds.
No comment.
Further discussion? Will the clerk please take the vote on action item E for postponement to August 19th?
Councilmember Humbird.
I need to recuse myself on that as well.
Legal question. Ms. Humberg will be affected by this vote. Can she still vote on the postponement and no action, or should she recuse herself?
If
abstain?
she'd be affected by it, she should
Okay, yeah,
abstain
that's-
from the vote.
Okay, I need to abstain from voting.
And not participate in the discussion.
Perfect. Thank you.
Councilmember Graham.
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza.
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman.
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks.
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds.
Aye.
Mr. Colley? Oh, shit. You said abstain? Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't know.
go ahead.
Oh, you were first on the list. Okay, sorry. All right. Action item E has been postponed to August 19th with 5 yeses and 1 abstain. Moving on to action item F, authorize staff to prepare notices to property owners who are required by city code to pay a standby fee, allowing a standby fee waiver to December 31st, 2019, and to give sewer connection fee waiver until December 31st, 2020.
Motion to postpone until August 19th for possible action.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Fredericks, seconded by Councilmember Rounds. Councilmember Fredericks.
No discussion.
Councilmember Rounds.
No discussion.
Further discussion? Will the clerk please take the vote on action item F for postponement to August 19th meeting?
Councilmember Chapman.
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks.
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza.
Aye.
Councilmember Graham.
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds.
Aye.
Councilmember Humbird.
I abstain.
Action item F has been postponed to August 19th with 5 yeses and 1 abstain. Moving on to action item G, ordinance number 1431, school capital facilities plan and impact fees, first reading.
Move to approve ordinance 1431.
Second that.
Moved by Councilmember Chapman, seconded by Councilmember Plaza. Councilmember Chapman.
We've been over this, and we've heard from the school board that that's what they want, they recommended, so we should go with it and back.
Councilmember Plaza. Further discussion?
Yes.
Councilmember Fredericks.
Mr. Goddard, how many homes do we have that are, do we know of, that are planning to be built in Cowlitz County? Not city of, but Cowlitz County.
I have no way of knowing that number.
We have no,
We can get that from the
My
county, though.
understanding is Cowlitz County has done a build-out model for how many homes could be built up the Lewis River Valley, but I have not reviewed that, and I don't know how accurate it is. It's also subject to updated comprehensive plans and higher densities changes that might occur in the future.
but every time a home is built in Calais County, in essence, all the taxpayers of Woodland and Clark County are subsidizing the amount of money that gets paid into the pool, into the impact fee pool. That's being subsidized by all the taxpayers of Woodland and Clark County, correct?
Yep. That is correct, within the school district.
Right.
Yeah. And I did in my quarterly report last month point out that over the last 3 years or so, that for about every one house built in the city, there is an equivalent one house built in that portion of the county that would fall under that not paying the impact fee number.
And I'm not aware of the SEPA process that the Calais County does not want to help us out with, and I'm sure there are probably reasons why. But I'd like to have some further discussion on that, because I think it's important. I don't think that's fair to the taxpayers of the city of Woodland, or for that matter, Clark County. And I think something should be said, at the very least, even if it's a letter from this body, and I'm not suggesting that everyone would agree with that letter. Everyone has their own feeling on impact fees. But from my standpoint, the people who are creating the impact should pay the fee. We already paid our way. So I'd like to see something done further on that. I know that's not part of this, but I think that's something that should be discussed.
Further? Can I answer your question?
Sure, I'd love an answer. I wasn't expecting one.
A partial answer. In regards to homes being built, there is currently a subdivision on the docket with Calais County right now in the bottoms for approximately 70 homes, which is a 140% increase of housing in that area south of town. So with that said, you're doing math. That would go to the school district. Not to mention the fact that anytime a business is developed or a home is created within the city limits of Woodland, there's also transportation impact fees that are paid, which help us with our growth and making sure that we have roads to drive on, including potentially a new exit 21. That fee is not being paid either. So I just want to make that clear.
And presumably, where will the impact be from all those homes that are in the bottoms? They're going to be driving their cars through the city. They're going to be driving the cars at a failed intersection at exit 21, and the ratepayers.
On a failed road that doesn't work now.
Right, on a failed road that doesn't work now, and the ratepayers of Woodland and Clark County are subsidizing to the tune of about $413,000. So what does that mean? What that means is the next time they need to build a school and they come to the taxpayers of Woodland for more money, it's going to be at a higher tax cost, because we're all going to have to foot the difference in that bill. Because the people who are creating the impacts are not paying their way.
So just so I'm tracking this right, Calais County people aren't paying anything in impact fees?
Nothing.
Right. And according to some, if you don't have impact fees, man, they're gonna come flying off the shelf. They're gonna come to our community, and I'm not seeing it.
Nope.
But so I think that creates, I don't know. It's very interesting to me that I think it's the location of where Woodland is at.
It is.
We are one of 6 counties in the state that have a county line running through the municipality, which creates challenges when one is urban growth and one is not, or growth management. So I don't know. It's just, those are the things I think about when I'm driving down the road.
Ooh, scary.
I know. Thank you.
Yeah. Further discussion? Will the clerk please take the vote on action item G, ordinance number 1431?
Councilmember Rounds.
Aye.
Councilmember Graham.
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza.
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman.
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks.
Aye.
Councilmember Humbird.
Aye.
Action item G passes with 6 votes. Moving on to action item H, authorize mayor to sign interlocal agreement with Woodland School District for amended fees relating to processing school impact fees.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Councilmember Fredericks, seconded by Councilmember Rounds. Councilmember Fredericks.
This is the way that the city, apparently, if I'm not mistaken, after we discuss this is the way that the city gets reimbursed for processing the collection of impact fees that we end up paying the city, or the school, sorry.
I believe so, yes. Councilmember Rounds.
No comment.
Further discussion? Will the clerk please take the vote on action item H?
Councilmember Fredericks.
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman.
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza.
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds.
Aye.
Councilmember Humbird.
Aye.
Councilmember Graham.
Aye.
Action item H has passed. Moving on to action item I, ordinance number 1441, amend Woodland Municipal Code 2.80, Horseshoe Lake Management Committee, first reading.
Move to approve ordinance 1441.
Chair will accept a second for Mr. Chapman.
I'll second.
Moved by Councilmember moved by Councilmember Chapman, seconded by Councilmember Humbird. Councilmember Chapman.
No comment.
Councilmember Humbird.
Comment.
Further discussion?
Comment.
You have a comment?
I do.
Mr. Fredericks.
We've had a lot of, this has been a committee that was really, it's at least been around since the entire time I've been here, and I know Mayor Blum had brought this back because we had some folks that were on the lake that were interested in discussing water quality issues with the lake, so on and so forth. When we were going through, my understanding is when we were going through this process with one of the property owners on the lake, it came to light that we're not abiding by the rules that have been set forth under Woodland Municipal Code Section 2.8. And I think maybe people got their feelings hurt, and so I believe everyone's resigned from that committee, which is unfortunate, but that's where we're at. I would think, given how much work we're sending over to the park board, it would make more sense then, since everyone has resigned, to take the Horseshoe Lake Management Committee and wrap that into the park board and have that be a committee that's done at the park. So Horseshoe Lake is obviously something that is important. It's important to all of us. I think I can safely say that. But I don't know. To me, why would we have an extra committee? Every time we have a committee, staff time is involved. Staff has got to come after hours to another meeting. It would make, in my opinion, it would make more sense to get rid of Woodland Municipal Code Section 2.80 and move that language over to the park board. So I'm going to vote no on this, simply for that reason. Unless the folks would like to maybe reconsider and come back, but I think we've tried that, and I don't think that worked. So I know the mayor has done a good job of reaching out to the individuals that were on that committee to ask them to reconsider. And I don't think they are reconsidering. So I think that's what should be done, but that requires a comprehensive change to the municipal code, and I guess my no vote would require staff to go back and spend time on something that probably wasn't planned this year. But I think that's what should happen. That's just me, though.
Ms. Humbert?
I attend both the Park Board and the Horseshoe Lake Committee meetings. The gentlemen sitting on the Horseshoe Lake Committee have done an enormous amount of work trying to make sure that things were done properly, getting bids, doing the aquatic plan. I hate to see this committee go away because I think putting that much work on the Park Board, particularly since the Park Board is working on our new park, is going to be, something's going to fail. I would like to see, I know you tried, but maybe if we talk to the gentlemen, some of them would come back and maintain that, what they have going on and what they've started. I really hate to see the committee go away.
Mr. Fredericks?
I don't want to jump on. There's other people who might want to speak, and I don't want to.
No, go ahead, I'll wait till you're done.
Oh. I think the challenge becomes if, I agree with Councilmember Humbert, these gentlemen, I think they're all gentlemen, have done a very nice job, and they put in countless hours helping the city. But if they've all resigned, and we have a difficult time finding people for committees, I think it presents a problem trying to staff committees. We have a difficult time trying to find members to join the city council, planning commission, and these other committees. So I don't see a bunch of people coming out of the woodwork wanting to join committees. And I think that that is another challenge that should be, or another item that should be considered, is we got to make sure that we have enough people who are willing to get into the weeds of what each one of these committees is reviewing and discussing and making recommendations to the council on. I just think we got to be careful and be cognizant of that fact that we have challenge finding people who are willing to serve.
Ms. Humbert?
And I agree. However, I have spoken to a couple of people who are interested in maintaining the park board, and I'm hoping that when feelings have settled down a little bit, some of these, not all of them won't, but there's a couple that I'm thinking may come back and maintain what they've got going on. I would like to at least give it a chance.
Well, those
Mrs.
people,
Rance.
sat on that board for a long time. And I would like to see some of them come back also, because they did put a lot of time into that committee. And they were willing to continue on that committee. So I would hate to see it. I would just wish, maybe I'll talk to some of them too, see if I can't, see if they'll reconsider. But they have done a lot of work, and I'm like Susan, I think the park board is going to have a lot on their plate, and I don't know that they'd be able to handle all of this plus that. That's my feeling.
What caused these people to quit? They were just upset because of what we talked about at the city council meeting?
Changing their terms, I think.
Are you asking me? Are you
I'm
asking me?
anybody in
Okay,
general.
you guys are in
No.
discussion, so I don't want to.
Yeah.
So
Well,
you're asking me a question to answer. Is what
I'm
I'm hearing.
asking anybody on the council who may have the
Okay.
answer. Yeah. If you know the answer, Mr. Mayor, then yeah, great, answer it.
I have a feeling I might know why.
Why?
Well, we had some individuals come and speak about a property owner that has an issue, and the council reviewed that concern. The recommendation was to let staff, the direction to staff was to enforce the law. And that's what we told staff to do. And there's a few members of that committee who were unhappy with that decision. And at the same time we were reviewing that, there was a review of the entire, what is the Horseshoe Lake Committee, what's their charge, what does it say in Woodland Municipal Code, and it comes out, and we find that we are not following our rules, or we're not following Woodland Municipal Code. And so I think it was, well, you're penalizing us now because of this issue it's in my mind unrelated, but it's related in their mind, I believe. I believe that was the reason that there was the issue is that the direction that was provided by council was not something that was
That they liked.
that they liked. And so they were like, well, fine, we're all, some of them, I can't speak for, some of these members were not happy with how that came down. And they have decided that, you know what, it would be just better if I resign. And I'm gonna take my toys home.
Get your marbles and go home.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and it's unfortunate because these people have done tremendous work on the lake. And there's passion for what they do, but apparently something like this sent them over the edge. A few of them. And now we don't have a quorum.
And these
So
are the people that we want to have to come back, in theory, from what I've gotten from this discussion.
Yeah.
People that have already picked up their marble and gone home. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's all I got.
Anything further?
So just to be clear, we do not have a quorum to conduct business on the Horseshoe Lake Committee. So in essence, a yes vote tonight means we're going to attempt to seat people on this committee. We're going to give it another shot. A no vote would mean either you're not supportive of this or you think we should take a different direction.
Can
How you-
I speak? Okay, well, it's your meeting. So a yes vote would allow the updates to the code and put in term limits so that there was some rotation, as with other committees. A no vote would leave the committee as is with no expiring terms, and you are correct that we do not have a quorum.
Okay.
I believe we have one
Okay.
out of the 7 that we're serving, and would like to continue serving, but there's no one to meet with. So, in any case, this will clean up the language and allow a committee to be formed and operate appropriately as the other committees are expected to. A no vote would allow a committee to continue that's not going to meet at this point.
Okay.
So currently at this time, just so council is aware, the duties of Horseshoe Lake have been given to the park board temporarily until this works itself out. So if we continue and we can't find any members, a change will need to come to dissolve the committee itself and then placed somewhere else. Thank
Okay.
you.
That's fair.
All right, seeing nothing else, will the clerk please take the vote on action item I?
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Fredericks.
Aye.
Councilmember Humbert.
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman.
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds.
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza.
Aye.
Action item I has passed. We've come to the point of the meeting for adjournment.
Move to adjourn?
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Humber, seconded by Councilmember Rounds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It is 8:11.